This is the Loose Pass Rugby Podcast, only on Megafoon Rugby.
Welcome back to the Loose Pass Rugby Podcast. Last week we had a missed pass. We had to have one at all for a variety of reasons. So welcome back, Huw, man. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it's a good job that we didn't end up having one last week because I was struck down by COVID last week.
COVID?
So,
I thought you were sick, but I didn't know it was COVID.
Well, apparently it was COVID. I haven't done a test or anything, but someone said, oh yeah, my brother's daughter's got one. So yeah, it turns out it probably was that. So if I'd had to come on, I would have dragged myself out of bed, sat here spluttering in front of you for an hour, and then you would have had to put out a substandard podcast. So I'm still a little bit short of breath, but we shall soldier on in the British way.
Don't worry. I always get accused of putting out substandard podcasts, so it would have been nothing new. So no worries. I tell you what, if it was last Wednesday, I would have been here and, blubbering along. Snot and trane, as we say in Afrikaans, for a different reason. That means trane as tears. You leave the rest up to your imagination. Right, Glenn. Firstly, good news broke yesterday. I got the WhatsApps from you, both you and Harry, that you were both accredited by the English Rugby Football Union, RFU, whatever the fancy name is, to go attend the game at Twickenham, South Africa versus the Pumas. So, I say, heaven help us, Harry and you together at Twickenham. What are we looking forward to? Are you excited?
I'm massively excited. It's not England don't call it the English Rugby Union. They call it the RFU, just the Rugby Football Union, because of course they invented rugby. I actually live not far from Rugby, the place. I probably live an hour from where rugby was invented. So yes, I am massively looking forward to it. I'm just as excited to see the Pumas as seeing the Springboks. And it will feel like a home game for a lot of the Argentinians who play up here in Europe. I don't know whether, as soon as the Springboks adjourn, whether some of them won't bother going back down south. They'll just wait here to join up with their URC clubs. But massively excited for it. I'm waiting to see what kind of trouble that Harry gets me into.
No, I'm telling you right now, watch your step, because you'll end up on the pitch. You might end up in jail. You never know. This is not Loftus Versfeld where they look, they forgive things. I'm sure they're going to be much stricter. I was just interested to know, Harry is saying that with Megafoon Rugby and HG Rugby and Lekker Rugby Pod and everybody, we're taking over the rugby world. So are we on track for total world domination as far as rugby is concerned?
I think we're on track. Yeah, it's a 20-year plan though. That's the only thing.
Only 20. I thought it was longer. So you and Harry together, are you going to sit together? What's the plan? Have you ever been in a press box before? Have you at Twickenham, I mean?
Never at Twickenham. I've been there once for Wales in Cardiff. So no, I don't know what it's going to be like. It says, both of us says Zone 3Z. So I'll sit in that. I'm interested to see who's going to be there. I'm interested to see who's going to be there from kind of the English press, because obviously England aren't playing, but it's at Twickenham. So I'm interested to see what journalists are kind of there. I didn't really enjoy... When I was there for Wales, I really enjoyed it, kind of the experience, but the actual kind of like being the media bit wasn't so fun, because I found all of like the journalists were really quiet and kept to themselves and stuff. They're all quite grumpy actually. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this is like, whether I'll get to meet some famous South African journalists as well. I don't know. But yeah, it'll be good for celebrity spotting, I hope.
Hopefully you meet Hendrik Cronje, the Oracle. Harry will probably introduce you. So let's go. I don't like watching the game from the press box, to be honest. I prefer not so much in the stands. I almost prefer watching on a TV because I see more of the game. I like the atmosphere in the stands. Press box is a bit of a downer. I know it's a privilege to be there and everything else, but you have to keep quiet.
When I was in Cardiff, like the stadium in Cardiff is so loud on the Tenoi. Like you can't do anything. If you're trying to record like yourself for a piece of content or something, you can't do it. It's just so noisy. And in the media box, which no, I won't say that because I got into trouble last time I said something like that. But there's a like a speaker pointed right at you. Like you're all there in your seats, and there's a speaker pointed directly at it. You can't do anything. It's unbelievably loud. Like I came away with it away from it. Like I can't believe how loud it was. And players say that as well. Like you go there and you're just like, they struggle to play there because it's so loud. They can't hear each other, which is probably why Wales's line-out call is the person who's going to catch the ball just waves and jumps on the spot.
We had a similar problem at Loftus once, but it was by accident. They also put these big speakers, right in front of the press box on the outside, though. But it was so loud that the windows rattled and we couldn't speak to each other, and we were sitting right next to each other. We couldn't hear each other. It was that loud. But like I said, that was an accident. It just wasn't done on purpose, so they fixed it for the next time. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to you, Nari, doing instant reaction from Twickenham. Are you gonna be up for that?
100%, 100%. I'm going to see if I can get onto the 8-9 combo as well while I'm there.
Nah, but that's only, 8, 9, who cares? Go lekker. Hello, Brett. I know if you watches this. Anyway, let's get back to business. You're wearing a red shirt, I suppose, something Welsh, I would guess. What is it?
Yeah, Scarlet's jersey again. Most of my jerseys are Scarlet's jerseys. This is 2007, 2008. Speaks to the microphone. This is 2007, 2000. No, sorry, 2006, 2007. Scarlet's got to the Heineken Cup semi-final, lost to Leicester, which is as well as any Welsh clubs tend to do in the Heineken Cup, is now the Champions Cup. Yes, this is made by Cougar. This is an old style one. This is one of those heavy ones, weighty ones, kind of robust. I maintain that rugby jerseys peaked in the 2000s. Everything is stitched. There's no plastic on it whatsoever. But also, bonus jersey, because we missed last week. So I went rummaging in my laundry to find the one that I didn't get to show you last week.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I wore my Stade Francais jersey from last season, which is for Stade Francais. This is actually quite reserved.
Yeah, I thought it was pink or something.
Yeah, I've got some pink ones. Oh, don't worry. Behind the Scarlets, which is my team, Stade Francais is the jerseys that I own the most of because they're so mad and weird. They're just interesting. So after the Scarlets get shut down with the WRU, I'm going to collect Stade Francais jerseys.
That's interesting. The Capri Sun thing. Maybe you talk to us about the owner being an owner or director or something of Capri Sun. Has that now been resolved or not yet?
Yes. So the owner of, or they call them the president in France, but it's the owner of Stade Francais is Hans-Peter Wild, who's a German. And apparently he does have a history with the German rugby union. But anyway, that's for another day. He owns Stade Francais, and he's the guy behind Capri Sun. And it's so funny. If you see a picture, if you go Google Hans-Peter Wild Capri Sun, it shows a photo of him in his office at Capri Sun. And it's like the shelves behind you, except instead of books, it's all Capri Suns. That's his office. It's like something from a comic book or something. But anyway, he owns Stade Francais. He's been spending stupid money on it, like pouring away tens of millions. Apparently in the last 5 years, he's put 100 million euros into it of his own money. And it's not yielding any results. They're quite rubbish. They nearly got relegated last season. And the rumours are that he's looking for a way out. And this season, they no longer have Capri Sun written across the front. They've got Côte d'Ivoire, which is the Ivory Coast, which is a government-led thing in the Ivory Coast. Basically, the tourism board's trying to get people to come to the Ivory Coast as tourists. And that's why they now have Côte d'Ivoire written across the front of their jerseys.
Clearly, it's lucrative selling Capri Suns or making cool drink and selling it, even if it's on the shelf behind you. Because you spend 100 million on a rugby team, that's an insane amount of money. Sure.
Yeah, there's money in juice.
Well, we talked about you had a little part, quite a nice one, a long one, about rugby jerseys in the URC. I'm going to put the link up here. People can go watch it. You went to that, but you and I like talking about jerseys, and I maintain that the Bulls jerseys are not a success, but I have to still see it in action. I'll see it probably this Saturday, see what it looks like. Stormers for me are the best looking jersey. I still say that. But from the other ones, which was your general agreement? Which is the best jersey for the URC?
It's a good year for Adidas with Stormers and with Munster. I think Munster's jersey is class. It's a throwback to when they won the Heineken Cup, which is getting a lot of mentions this week. Everybody agrees that those two are the best. I think the Welsh ones are all pretty good. The Scottish ones, for me, Edinburgh have tried to do something. Whether you like it or not is up to you, but at least they've tried something. I never liked Glasgow's jersey. I think Glasgow have got the weakest jersey game maybe in club rugby. It's just so bland. It's just like when they won the URC, it was just black. Mm-hmm. There was nothing to it. This year's got a bit more to it. It does actually look, to be fair, better on the players on the pitch, but it's still just the front is just plain black. There's just nothing. The Sharks one, I think, is a mess. The Lions one, I think, is forgettable.
What about that Lions away one?
Yeah, but they never end up wearing these ones. They had a crazy one last season. They never end up wearing it. The thing about South African teams is the Curry Cup jerseys are always the nice ones. Like the Sharks and the Lions Curry Cup jerseys are way nicer than the URC ones.
More traditional ones, harking back to the old days. That's why.
Yeah, that's what you want from rugby jerseys, though, isn't it?
Sure. Right, and the other ones, the Italians, what are they looking like?
Well, it's difficult to know with Zebra because Zebra have released 3 jerseys at the same time without telling anybody which one is the home jersey and which one's the away jersey.
Sounds about right.
So there's a yellow one, a blue one, and a pink one. They're all quite nice. I can't remember who actually makes Zebras now that you mention it. It might be Macron. Can't remember. But they're all quite nice. Benetton is made by a company called Araya, which is confusing because Benetton is a clothing brand. So but I can't find anywhere to buy Benetton rugby jerseys. So that's a nightmare. But it's quite nice anyway. It's hoops, green hoops. Who have I not talked about?
Ireland.
I think that's everybody. Ireland. Oh yeah, Munster's nice. Leinster's not. It's got these weird. It's this deep blue kit with these weird dark yellow lightning bolts further down that doesn't work at all for me. A lot of people like Connacht's dark green with gold detailing, which some people around here may find familiar. I can't say any more than that.
Rings a bell, but I can't put my finger on it either. Yeah.
And then Ulster's all right. I think people have been a bit harsh on Ulster, but an Ulster fan told me that the jersey itself is fine, but the sponsors ruin it. So the main sponsor is a company called SAM, so it just says Sam across the front, and then it's got underneath it the home of MDF Moldings, which is not the most glamorous sponsor you could ever have. So
it pays the bills. It pays the bills.
Yeah, so that's my quick fire rundown of the URC jerseys this year.
Okay, but let's briefly talk about the dark green and gold playing this weekend against the Pumas. You know a lot about the Pumas. You know a lot of the other players playing in Europe or England and the like. So just briefly, what are you expecting from that game? What are you expecting from the Pumas specifically? Because to me, they're a bit of an unknown entity, beating the All Blacks, beating the Australians, lost against them and lost against the Australians. Bit of an up and down team, but much better than they were a year or two ago. What can we look forward to? What can we expect from this team under Felipe Contomboni specifically?
They play a very exciting brand of rugby. South American rugby has such a unique flavor to it in terms of the players are all quite lean, quite slight, but they've got such fast feet. They're elusive. They attack the space, and they've got great ball handling skills. Like I remember reading a quote from an English Premiership coach. He said that the reason that English teams sign so many Argentinians is because they're problem solvers on the pitch. They can think. They're not kind of stuck in like just in their roles, and they're not allowed to do anything else, which is great. So I think they're key players. I think Juan Cruz Malia, Santiago Carreras, I think is playing well. Hell of a goal kicker, but definitely in the conversation for best goal kicker in the world for me. Unfortunately, Thomas Albanos is still out injured. He's one of my favorite fly halves going. Their pack is not super heavyweight. I think that you'll definitely have the advantage over them in the pack. What you tend to see with Argentina is their fitness is all about cardio. So they often finish games stronger than they start. If you can get them into a game where they have to do lots of pick and goes and lots of ball carrying, they don't tend to go very well. I heard a preeminent rugby YouTuber say that Argentina love to go through the phases, and I don't agree with that at all. I think they do end up going through the phases, but if you get them going to their pick and go game, I think you'll be all right, because they're not very good at that. They don't win the big collisions because they're not the biggest team in the world. They're all about athleticism and cardio than they are about smashing up front. I don't think you'll ever see Argentina go 7-1, put it that way. But they can cut you up out wide. I think there's a great argument to say that their backline has played the best overall over the first 4 games of the Rugby Championship. They're so cohesive. They're so understanding of each other, and their understanding of situations on a rugby pitch and what to do next. They score beautiful tries. And like I said, with Carreras, they've got a dead-eye goal kicker. They probably should have won both games in Australia. I think they kind of dragged themselves nervously to the second win, having thrown away the win the week before. So definitely, to be honest, mate, I expect Argentina to win one of the games. I just think the one that they will win will be the one in Twickenham, because some of I think that's just kind of set up. I think by the time you get to Twickenham, I think you South Africans might be your race might be run, to be honest.
What does that mean? You think we're going to run out of steam, or we would have won the race?
Yeah, I just think that you're going to be like, you've had your games against New Zealand, you've had your big record win, you'll have had your last game in South Africa. All the players will have half a mind on what they're going to do for their franchises for the next 6 months. So I just think that that playing the Springboks in Twickenham is the kind of game that Argentina would get up for. That is their final. I wouldn't be surprised if they're more thinking about that one than the one in Durban, where they're probably going, yeah, probably not going to win that. I mean, have Argentina ever won in South Africa?
Yeah, they have in Durban.
Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, maybe not then.
No, I don't agree with you
I've
at
made
all.
my prediction. I'll stick with it.
I'm telling you now, Twickenham was like a home game for South Africa. There's so many supporters. Remember that game against the All Blacks, warm-up game for the World Cup? That's going to be a 60-70% South African audience. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a big South African crowd there. I think they're going to be up for it. You must remember, we've got the end of year tours still coming up. They're not going to go back to their franchises. They're going to hang around and, maybe something like that. And then they're going to go tour.
If Argentina do win, mate, make sure to put them in the thumbnail and give them a really kind of positive title. Say how Argentina masterminded the Springboks or something. Because
I will.
I've just had a Argentina video pass 100,000 views.
And now you're just bragging, man.
I'm just saying there's a massive Argentinian YouTube audience that I didn't realize was there until this happened to me.
I actually saw that. We did a bit of an instant reaction to the Springbok team announcement, and we got a lot of Argentinian supporters in there commenting on it. So that's good. I'm looking forward to that kind of thing, because we're not sort of gathering an audience across the world. It's nice. We had a lot of TVs.
Yeah, world domination. We're gonna have a Megafoon podcaster in every continent, even Antarctica.
There's so our 50-year plan can be shortened to 20 years. So by 2045, we'll rule the rugby world. I'm kidding. That's not a problem. I wanted to ask you about, you said Argentina likes, towards the end of the game. But you'd mentioned it briefly, but those two games against Australia, they let it slip. The first one, they let it slip completely. And the second one, they almost let it slip towards the end. Why would that be?
Yeah, it's true. Australia are weird. What they've done, they haven't won a first half in the Rugby Championship yet out of these 4 games. And I think out of their something like 114 points that they've scored in the Rugby Championship so far, 29 have been in the first half. So they're all about the second half, Australia. I think in that second test, Argentina were just so desperate to get the win that they let slip the week before, that they kind of closed up and stopped playing and let Australia back into it. So I think they'll be very relieved they got the win in the end. I don't know about Australia, because I've always had the theory that if your team goes 3 scores down, the game plan is fully out the window and they just start chucking the ball around and running from their own half. And so that becomes incredibly difficult to play against, because the team that you're playing has changed massively halfway through the game. So, I don't know, odd games, but they're kind of outliers in the whole kind of 2 years worth of data we have leading up to that.
All right, let's talk about the Australians taking on the All Blacks at Eden Park, nogal at same place as South Africa came up short. What are the chances of causing an upset? The All Blacks are hurting. I mean, they're really hurting. We talked to Martin Devlin this week about the way the All Blacks talk about learnings, and which he says is absolute nonsense. They should start winning now again. They are hurting. They must feel it. They must experience the pain. Do you think the All Blacks are going to be up for it? They're going to want to avenge that loss against the Springboks. Do the Wallabies stand any chance, do you think? What's going to happen?
It's funny. We think of this being a horrendous All Blacks era, but Razor is 15 wins, 6 losses since he came in, which for any other nation is fine. Like any other nation would be like, yeah, that's okay. But we hold the All Blacks to a different standard. Of course we do. I think they'll be nervous. Like you said about Argentina, is that they can lose one game and win the next. The All Blacks are like that now, where they'll play one game, maybe not lose it, but they'll play badly. And then they'll win the next game playing differently. And then they'll go back. I've talked about this before. They just overplay, play badly, go, oh, that didn't work. And then tighten it up for the next game, get the win. Exactly the 2 games against the Boks were like that exactly. The Eden Park record was on the line. They had to win it. They did, playing on the back foot and accepting that they were the underdogs. I believe that the All Blacks thought of themselves as the underdogs in that Eden Park test, which, you can say whether they should or shouldn't. I think that's what happened. And then kind of the pressure will be off in the next game and they'll lose the next game. So I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened. Wallabies are hurt by injuries. I've just seen that Andrew Kellaway is now out and James O'Connor's up with Leicester.
Hey, he's back.
So if you're looking with Tom Liner and Tane Edmed as your 210s and who's going to play fullback, I don't know. Do you move Su'ali'i back there and have Ikitau and Paisami in the centres? I
saw
know.
they're going to move Jorgensen to 15 and James O'Connor's going to play.
Oh, is he? Well, okay. But still, hampered by injuries. And
No, I agree.
so Eden Park, I think they'll win. Breaking news. Man predicts All Blacks to win at Eden Park. But
UK man.
second game.
Like Florida man. Sorry, man.
Florida man, yeah. The second game, is it at Wellington as well? Wouldn't be surprised to see them lose that one.
I suppose New Zealand never wants to play in Wellington again. Anyway, let's just finish with the Springboks quickly. Your expectations from that match in Durban now specifically? Who's going to win?
I was about to say it depends who plays, but we've seen the team, haven't we? No, I think they'll win. I like the look of that team.
The Springboks, you mean?
Yeah. I like Willem so good. We didn't get to talk about this last week. How flipping good is he at rugby?
Yeah,
I'm interested to see Dear Lende and Moody. We should see how that goes. I told you Moody was a 13. And
I told you I don't agree, but I have to probably eat my words by now.
And
it's not like I'm a bull or anything that I know anything about rugby, but what can I say?
Also, what did I say? The Springboks best 15 has Ruan Nortje in it. And finally, Razzie has realised as well. He's been watching our podcast and going, hang on a minute. This guy keeps banging on about how good Ruan Nortje is. Maybe we'll try him. Oh, yeah, he is actually really good. So, yeah, I really like the look of that Springboks team. I think we will look back on those 2 tests in New Zealand and we will see it as the changing of the guard games. This is the end of the team that won 2 World Cups and the start of the team that's
going to win the third one. I like it. Back to back to back. There we go. I like it. Listen,
how well is Sia Khaleesi playing, by the way? This has to be the best season that I've seen Sia play since I've been watching him.
Yeah, but again, he's one of those players when he puts on that green and gold jersey, he just takes up a step, goes up a step.
He was good for the Sharks, though.
He was good. It was very good for the Sharks, but when he's a Springbok jersey, he's even better. That's what I'm getting at. I mean, that guy just plays out of his skin. I love him to bits. Anyway, something else we always talk about are transfer rumors, and I think a big one this week, and I'm actually going to put him on the thumbnail, I've decided, because his, golden locks will definitely, get some clicks there. Faf de Klerk. What's the story about him?
So, this is all about Toulon in the top 14. So Toulon all summer long have been linked to what the French call charniers, which is the halfback pairing. This is interesting on multiple levels. So Faf de Klerk has been linked to Toulon as being signed as a new scrum half, as has Finlay Christie of the All Blacks. Now, currently, Toulon have 2 very good scrum halves. They've got Baptiste Serran, who was one of the best players in France last season, a French international, probably one of the players who's most unlucky of the incredible depth that France has at 9. He might not even be in the top 5 anymore, having missed the New Zealand tour. He might be overtaken by Oscar Geno from Clermont. But anyway, he's there, as is Ben White, the Scotland's scrum half, who played for the Lions in the summer. So that's their 2 scrum halves, very good scrum halves, but both of them are out of contract at the end of next season, or this season rather. Serran has been rumoured to be exiting Toulon all summer. Now, this is a big deal because not only is he a great player, but arguably their best player, but he's captains them. He's very popular with the fans, and apparently he's very popular in the dressing room. But there's a lot of players who've been leaving Toulon lately, which makes me think that there's something a bit off in the dressing room. Toulon have always been a signing team, as in not necessarily about the academy graduates, the Galacticos team that won 3 back-to-back-to-back Champions Cups a decade ago with Johnny Wilkinson, Brian Habana, Ma Nonu, Lee Halfpenny, etc., etc. I think Bakkies Botha might have played for that team. I'm there to be corrected on that one. But anyway.
He did. He did.
Okay. So that's kind of all. They've always been the team that signs players from elsewhere. Baptiste Seran but now we're starting to see players starting to leave. Like Wisea Naithalevu left under a bit of a cloud. We've seen Lester Fanganuku left. Dan Bigger retired. And it all seems to be a bit, you're not seeing obvious, the team's playing well, so you're not seeing obvious reasons for players leaving, but many of them are. So Seran apparently wants out. He was linked to UBB, Bordeaux, and he was linked to Montpellier. Now, Montpellier and Toulon are big rivals on the south coast of France, and they don't like each other very much. And often, if you get linked to joining Montpellier at Toulon, that's the end of you. You can play for the reserves for the rest of the season. Now, interestingly, Toulon's match of the weekend, Ben White got named to start with Seran on the bench. Now, maybe we're putting 2 and 2 and getting 10 there, but it happened. But Ben White is also due to leave. So all summer, Toulon have been linked to new scrumhalves. Originally, they were linked to Geno from Clermont. He signed a new deal with Clermont. They were then linked to Finley Christie, and now they've been linked to Faf de Klerk. The same kind of thing is happening at fly half. Their fly half is Paolo Garbisi of Italy. I don't think he's that amazing as some people say. They are expected to sign Thomas Albanoz, the Argentina starting fly half. He's expected to go there. So lots of change there. And just Faf de Klerk is the latest name to be linked to Toulon. So I think what we can say with certainty is Toulon will sign a new scrum half. And Faf de Klerk is probably the biggest name to be linked with them yet.
What are would it be a good move for him, or in terms of money and everything else? I mean, that tournament, we know how long it is and how taxing it is. Do you think he's going there because he might be in the twilight of his Springbok career, not really going to be playing that much more, and he can now afford to go play 34 matches a year or something like that in France?
I don't know. If I was him, I think it's probably a wiser move to stay in Japan. Thanks very much. Probably similar money and less work required. Let's be honest about it. I don't know. To be honest, mate, to be brutally honest, I think Faf is probably past his best years at this point. Yeah. I think, is he in the top 3 Springbok scrum halves? Razzie doesn't seem to think so. Razzie's not picking him. I don't know if he's injured at the moment, but he's not getting picked.
No.
So,
not getting picked. No, then we had to fly over to New Zealand as a cover. And he went all the way there and came all the way back. Never played 1 minute. So there we go.
So no, I'm not sure it would be a great signing, to be honest.
Right. Other news that you've been covering quite a bit is the Pacific Nations Cup, and Fiji won that again. But some interesting developments there, specifically with an eye on the World Cup. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So Fiji beat Japan in the final. We knew those two teams would get to the final. We always thought that Fiji would win it. We've got a couple of new exciting players to talk about from Fiji, which we'll talk about another time, who have performed very well in this tournament. Japan looked to be better, but still, is second place in the Pacific Nations Cup really the peak of their ambitions? Tonga finished 3rd. That's very exciting. We were very happy about that. Canada finished 4th by winning 1 game. USA finished 5th because they beat Samoa. So people might not have expected this. USA beat Samoa. Samoa were terrible in this game. They looked like they'd never met. But what that meant is that USA have now qualified for the Rugby World Cup in 2027 by beating Samoa. Fair play. They got it all together in that final game that mattered, played in USA, which means that they avoided playing Chile in a playoff, which Samoa have now done. So leg 1 has been played. It was a 32-all draw. Great game. Exciting game. Samoa and Chile. 2 very different styles of rugby, as you can imagine, going at each other. So if anybody gets a spare 80 minutes, it's on Rugby Pass TV. Give it a watch. It's thrilling. Like I said, 32-all draw. But now Samoa have to go down to Chile to play them. I think it might be at altitude in Chile. But anyway, they have to go down there. Christian Leilefano, their star fly half, isn't travelling with them. Michael Alalatoa, their captain, I think, hasn't travelled with them. He's gone back to Clermont to play in the top 14. So it's It's a very depleted Samoan side playing against Chile in Chile, and it's sold out in the national stadium in Chile. 20,000 fans are going to be there, which is very exciting. So everyone's expecting Chile to win that. It's a massive game. Definitely tune in to watch it. It might be on a little bit late at night, but if you can watch it, do. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's not looking good for Samoa, who are so many people's favorite team.
So the winner's going to go to the World Cup and the loser's not. That's what it means.
The loser goes into the final qualification tournaments, which used to be called the Repechage, where they will play against Namibia and Belgium and probably Brazil and
I
themselves.
saw you put a poll out on, I think, YouTube. You asked about, was it Samoa, Namibia, Belgium, who was it? And Chile? Would you think? Who would you prefer to go through with those four? And that's why you put. Is that why you picked
I
those
don't know
names?
about prefer. I mean,
What was your
everybody
question?
loves Samoa. So I said, who do you think will go through?
Oh, yeah.
At the moment, it looks like Chile will, and then if Samoa get into the final qualification tournament, it should be them. It's played in November, so it's played in a test match window, an international window, so they should get better access to players. And you would like to think that some Samoans would go, hell, we need to make sure that we're at the World Cup, even if it means that they've got to put up with the adverse conditions that are playing with Samoa. But then, God, the final qualification tournament lasts from the 1st to the 18th of November. Samoa play Italy on the 22nd, as is the schedule at the moment. So it's a mess. It's a mess.
All right, you talked about Japan. I mean, you talked about Eddie Jones wanted to be the fastest rugby team in the world in the sense that, the breakdowns and the likes, but he's now moved away from that. What are you seeing? Is there any development? Because Eddie Jones doesn't mind hopping onto podcasts and opining about other teams, while his own team seems to be a bit struggling a little bit. What's happening in Japan?
Yeah, so they do look better this year than they did last year. The big difference between Japan this year and Japan last year is that last year Japan scored 60% of their points in the first half, and they would fall apart in the second half. I think they conceded 4 tries in every game in the Pacific Nations Cup last year. Whereas this year, their defense has been better, and they've had much stronger second halves. In fact, they started quite slowly in some games. They were within a score with both USA, Canada, and Tonga in their games against them. And they led early on against Fiji as well, but then fell badly behind. And I think they were 26-10 down at halftime to Fiji, and then came back in the second half. So they're now scoring 60% of their tries in the second half. And that goes back to the test series against Wales as well. They scored more of their points in the second half. So there's probably lots to that. There's probably their conditioning has gotten better, which I know Eddie Jones is a big thing of. But also, having watched them, I can tell you that they're not playing this crazy, super fast rugby anymore, where it's 1,000,000 miles an hour for 20 minutes and then they can't drag themselves around the pitch for the rest of the 60. They have slowed down, they have calmed down, and they're running a marathon, not a sprint anymore, I would say.
Right. Now, every day we woke up and looked at Twitter, we saw another MLR, Major League Rugby team in America, closing down and not participating in this year's season or championship. What's going on there? I thought rugby is the next big thing. The World Cup's going to be there in 2031, and that all seems to be falling apart.
Yeah, it's not good. South African link, the most recent team to go is Houston Sabercats, who were coached by Heineken Meyer and someone else.
Puerto Iman, he's now the coach. When Heineken Meyer came back to South Africa, Puerto Iman took over. Puerto Iman's ex-Blue Bulls coach. He coached everywhere, basically, and he helped out in the Currie Cup with Boland Cavaliers this year. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to his job.
Well, it's gone because there's no team for him to coach anymore. They're gone. It's finished. There was a few South Africans played for them as well, I believe. Yeah, not good. 4 MLR teams now gone from this season. They're talking out of 11. So they're down to 7. And there's rumors about Utah as well. But the thing is about the MLR is I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say 11. That might be wrong. Apologies to the comments. Of the teams that founded the league in 2018, only 2 are left. Everybody else has gone and been replaced by someone else. And I don't know. So many people have tried to use MLR as evidence that USA rugby is now taking off. And I'm just not seeing it at all on any level. here's a stat for you. Now, this is only based on a quick like Googling and stuff, but of the 4 teams that are gone, only something like 60 players were USA born. So there's something like 150 players have lost their jobs. Only 40% of them are actually born in the USA.
Mm.
So that kind of tells you the status. I think someone told me, and I hope I'm not going to get this wrong, that when Houston played New England Free Jacks, excuse me, in the MLR final, only 2 players from that final got called up to the USA men's national team. And all the rest came from clubs lower down. And in fact, the lower down the table, the more USA men's players you found.
Oh.
So what you have there is a league where the players from the country that the league is in are not playing for the best teams. Like, imagine that doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Like, you take the URC final, Leinster versus Bulls. Leinster is the vast majority of the Ireland squad. Okay, Bulls maybe isn't the majority of the Springboks squad, but every single player is South African. There are no foreigners. Super Rugby final, 2 New Zealand teams, no foreigners. Top 14 final between Bordeaux and Toulouse. You can pick a whole French team from those 2 teams and it would be bloody good. I don't know so much about Japan. Like the English final, maybe a bit less weak, but you could the last year's champions, Northampton Saints, now is pretty much the whole England backline. Whereas the MLR isn't producing this. And if the MLR is evidence for USA Rugby taking off, then not having Americans, USA born players playing in it is evidence that it's not, surely. And now they're having this big argument internally about, like, for example, Canadians aren't designated as foreign players in the MLR because there used to be a Canadian team in it. What that means is that there's a bunch of Canadians. I think 12 of Canada's team plays in the MLR. And a bunch of them won the title with the Free Jacks. So I think there's more MLR title winners from the last season in Canada's team than USA's team. And I think that the Samoan team is mostly, or at least a strong contingent of MLR players now as well. So the USA men's head coach has come out and said, we need to change MLR because at the moment it's a better pathway for Pacifica and Canadian players than it is for American players. And some people are like, oh, you can't say that. You can't say that. But every other league, a big part of its reason for existing is to develop players for the national team. And just that doesn't seem to be happening in the USA. And since MLR came in, USA have gone down in the world rankings. They failed to qualify for the last World Cup. For me, it needs a reset, and it seems to be resetting itself at this rate, losing 4 teams in one summer.
No, that's just basic economics now. No matter how much you blow it up, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Now, World Rugby is going to pump in about $250 million or something, I read somewhere, into the American
over the
rugby.
next 5 years.
Where's it going to go? Who's going to take it? What's going to happen to it?
Oh, they did say, I can't remember. The grassroots community marketing in women's rugby or something like that. But people can Google it. They did say
throwing good money after bad.
It is worth it. Like, if you can get 1% of the sporting audience in America to be interested in rugby, it's game changing. Like, you look at the GDP, you look at the population of the USA. The maths, the potential return on investment is massive, but just it's not helping itself at the moment. So, yeah, worry.
Right. Let's get back to the URC a little bit. And they sent out a little bit of a press release boasting. I'm trying to find a good word. Maybe not boasting, but promoting how well the URC is doing. 53 million views. And specifically that you and I found both very interesting is the growth in YouTube specifically. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so they made a big deal about not only how many more people are watching the YouTube, but also how much like it's becoming an extra source of revenue for them, which is interesting. Another thing that they said was 10% of the audience was in India, which
it must be VPNs. It must be VPNs.
That's what somebody else said to me. It must be VPNs. But yeah, that that I thought was interesting. But I do think that the URC did YouTube a lot better. If you look at what Super Rugby does on YouTube, it's fantastic. Definitely market leaders in that scenario. Look at all the views they get, which I think is all you South Africans keeping an eye on your exes, seeing how they're doing.
Super Rugby.
Because
What's Super Rugby?
we know that South Africans are on YouTube for sure.
Yeah, that we know.
So URC are doing it a lot better, and they have stepped up massively. Their instant highlights for games that are made by AI are still not brilliant. I'll be honest. They can do that better for sure. They need to come up with a new solution there. But highlights reels for players, proper thumbnails, good titles, like picking a player of the moment, a player who's relevant, a player who's just made headlines, and putting their highlights together. It works. They had something like, I think they said their year-on-year gross is something like 370% or something. And that's real money that they're going to be making now from that. So yeah, I think they deserve credit for doing that and making it much better. Have you seen they've launched their own podcast today?
No.
URC have launched their own podcast.
No, we're closing down now. It's over for us, man. It's done.
I can't remember. Hang on. Let me have a look here now. It's called The Big URC Preview Show. Oh, no, the podcast is called Send It. That's just the title of the episode. It's two content creators who I've never heard of. But guess who's on it as a guest?
Victor Matfield.
No. You won't guess. I'm going to tell you. Evan Roos.
Evan Roos?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my word. Okay, that's interesting. Nothing against Evan. Please, people, don't crucify me. I'm just surprised. That's interesting. That's very interesting, actually. I wouldn't have thought they would allow a player to go on a podcast this close to the season starting.
But it's the URC's official podcast. It's on their YouTube channel.
Yeah. See, that's an unfair advantage. We must go protest. Take a placard next week and go protest on the pitch there. Down with the URC podcast.
Yeah, so the URC wrote in their press release a lot specifically about their growth on YouTube and how many extra subscribers they got, how many extra views they got. And to be fair, this is something, like I said, everyone could just look at what Super Rugby does and go, oh, that works, and copy it. They should.
Well, then we must do that as well. Anyway, lastly, let's end this off. Getting late here in South Africa. Old people have to go to bed earlier than others. The 3 games we have to look forward to, and I want to see some signature Hugh Griffin style here. What are we looking for? What are the 3 games? Not the internationals. What club games can we look forward to? Because the URC is starting this week.
The URC is starting this week. Okay, here we go. 3 URC games that you have to watch this weekend. Number 1, Stormers versus Leinster on Friday night. Does this need any explanation? It's the Stormers versus Leinster, the 2 most supported clubs in the URC if you go by attendances. I'm sorry, Munster, that you're not up there. Leinster and Stormers get the 2 biggest attendances in the league. It's going to be a little bit, I don't know, you have to tell me what the attendance is going to be like with the Boks playing on the same weekend. It's a little bit in the shadows, but it's a great opportunity for Leinster to begin their season with a loss, which we love to see because they're so overpowered. Mind you, who's even going to be playing for the Stormers in this? Because apparently they're riddled with injuries. Yet it will be interesting one way or another. So that's game number 1. Game number 2, Glasgow versus Sharks. What kind of team are the Sharks going to put out? I'm not sure. Obviously, you've got South African interest on both sides with Franco Smith being in charge of Glasgow. There might be an opportunity for Glasgow this season. They've lost a couple of players. No more Tom Jordan. That's very sad. But the kind of teams around them might not be as strong. So that's one to keep an eye on. Glasgow going to be one of the contenders. And Sharks finished 3rd. This is, I think, 3rd versus 4th from last year. So we'll see. So I picked that one out. And then finally, my team, the Scarlets against Munster. Munster are now coached by Clayton McMillan, who was the coach of the Chiefs in Super Rugby. Chiefs, probably the best team in Super Rugby over the last 3 years, but 3 final defeats. They can go and be in a club with Claremont and Leinster and Lions. Multiple final defeatees.
And the Bulls. Maybe not 3 in a row.
Oh, and the Bulls, yeah. Yeah, and the Bulls.
That hurt.
Yeah, but I think he's a very good coach. He's going to make a difference, I think. Did you see what Conor Murray said about the former Munster coach in his book?
No, go. Lay it on me.
Conor Murray said that Graham Roundtree, who was the former Munster coach, said he didn't know anything about rugby. He said it wasn't.
Oh, yeah, I
impressed
saw
with him.
that. But he's now in Japan, isn't he? Graham Roundtree.
Now in Japan, and Conor Murray's retired. Maybe he just wanted to shift a couple of copies of his book. But if we do believe Conor Murray, then Clayton McMillan should be a big upgrade. So I'm expecting Munster to get right back into that top 4 this season. After a bit of a dip last season, nearly missed out on the playoffs. And the Scarlets are my team, so you should watch them anyway. Marnus van der Merwe is not free because you're using him, but you're not using him.
You made him a Springbok, so you now have to pay the price for it, man.
Yeah. But we're coached by Albert van den Berg. So there's your South African interest.
Well,
and Jared Taylor plays for us as well.
Head coach or assistant coach?
No, he's our forwards coach.
Forwards coach. Who's the head coach?
Dwayne Peel.
Oh, okay. I know him as well. I didn't know Albert van Berg was there because he left the Lions, big fight. Don't know if you remember that story.
Yeah, I found out the story because it didn't, when he signed for the Scarlets, they didn't mention him being at the Lions at all in the press release. And so I didn't know anything about him. So I messaged a couple of South African mates. It's like, hey, what can you tell me about this guy? And they all went, no, the Lions. And I was reading the press release like, what? There's no Lions mentioned in here. And it's like, you go back onto his Wikipedia and the last mention is he was coaching in Japan 10 years ago. That's all it goes up to. So I was like, what happened at the Lions? And then people told me and sent me links to the articles and things. I was like, oh my God.
Laptop gate. Yeah.
But, we'll put it... Sorry, Lions fans, we might have to blame you on that one with the whole, hot dogs and losing kits and stuff. Happy birthday and all that.
Yeah, anyway. Okay, Huw, that was good, man. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Looking forward to next week. We'll probably do a bit of a lack of preparation for you and Harry's big excursion to Twickenham. I can't wait for that one. I'm looking forward to that one a lot. I hope you are too. Massively,
mate, massively. I'm hoping nothing goes wrong. I'm hoping I don't get hit by a bus between.
If you're there with Harry, I guarantee you something will go wrong. It's not if, it's when, and it's not going to be how you handle it. So,
Harry's the adult. Harry's supposed to be in charge because he's the adult out of the two of us.
I'll leave that with no comment. I know, Harry. Anyway, Huw, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Talk again soon.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you.
This is the Loose Pass Rugby podcast, only on Megaphone Rugby.